The boys are asleep, and I am done cleaning, doing whatever I need to do around the house. And I really want to get into this live. I been actually want to do this video for a while, and then I keep putting it off, and putting it off. Honestly, because every time I think about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the video, I get irritated. It kind of upsets me. Um, just because of the whole reason behind of why I actually went ahead and decided to pull my kid out of school. That's first of all, okay? But let's go ahead and hop into it because I actually made a list so that to kind of help me, stay on track with like all of my thoughts because it's that I have to say on this topic. And I may even still end this live forgetting some stuff that I wanted to say during the live, but I'm sure I'll say it at another time or whatever. But yeah, let's get into why I decided to homeschool. Well, why I decided to pull my oldest child out of public school and homeschool him. Okay, there is a lot of reasons. So yeah, like I said, I wrote them down here. Basically, these are like all the cons, and it's not a the cons compared to the list of cons compared to the list of pros is just like it's ridiculous. It's way too many cons. But okay, I guess how I want to do this is I'm gonna go over the cons and then um so I'll list off all the cons we'll talk about. I guess should I do it that way and then go back on each one of them and kind of like go into dive deeper into them. But whatever, let's just roll with it. Whatever. Okay, so the first thing is teaching our kids about gender roles. We're gonna get into that. Gender roles or sexuality, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Two, trying to tell parents how to raise their children, how to discipline their children. You see a lot of teachers these days complaining about how the kids in school don't listen. Who is it, Gen Z, whatever generation that they always talking about now, that they don't listen, they're really bad, they're getting worse, da da da. Yeah. But what they're not telling you is a lot of parents are scared to discipline their kids because everybody these days think everything is a ruse. I don't know what I can and I can't say. Hi Justin, how are you doing? I don't know what I can and I can't say on YouTube. So if you get what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. That's the second thing. But what I just for you guys just coming in, hello Kaden. For you guys who are just coming in, I'm basically going over the list of reasons why I decided to pull my oldest out of public school and homeschool him, okay? And then I'll go back and go deeper into each one of these subjects so I don't get lost because my mind can be very scattered because I have so much to say, right? So I get sidetracked very easily. No longer allowing the parents to come up to the school. That's another thing that I have noticed, you guys. My mom has told me on multiple occasions that I am a person who has good foresight. At first, I was kind of like, I don't really see it, but I'm starting to understand it. There's a lot of things that I'm able to kind of just like see things happening, right? And I can just basically, I'm very good at being able to tell, like, okay, I can see where this is going, right? If it continues this way. But I'll go deeper into that. Children falling behind. My oldest was one of those kids who was falling behind. If you guys are new to the channel, if you don't know, my son he receives speech therapy services, whatever, right? So I've always wanted to homeschool my kids, which I've said multiple times on this channel. The only reason I let my son go to regular school was, my mom's idea. She said, send him because he's going to pick up on his speech quicker being around other kids, all day or whatever, right? So, which was true. Even when he was in private speech therapy services that we had him in before he got to school age, it wasn't really, he wasn't really picking it up like that. It wasn't until he got around other kids like pretty much all day on a consistent basis. They're like there 8 hours a day or whatever, and he was picking it up like that, right? So anyways, the next one is they don't have a lot of these schools do not have the same morals and values that you hold, right? So it's going to be based off the area that you live in. Who knows, what everybody knows, based off certain areas, neighborhoods and stuff, right? They all pretty much have kind of the same morals and values, outlook on life, and how they raise their children, right? And that just carries over into school because those people in that same neighborhood, in that area, they're all going to the same schools, okay? I don't agree. This something is going to offend some of you guys, and I'm sorry. It's just the truth as a person of color. I don't agree with putting my kids in all. I guess what they say. You guys say what YT spaces or whatever, right? When you do that, I notice changes in my son, right? When it comes to his identity, sorry, and how he views himself. Um, and those they're not good changes, right? Hi Tan, how are you doing? I'll go deeper into that as well too, you guys. Teachers seem to conveniently always they don't report on the whole story, right? So a lot of things that I kept running into when my son was going to this in particular school on base, it was like it was something every day, right? And I was noticing that I would get literally like three different stories from different teachers, and then I would be getting stories from teachers who weren't even there, right? And what I would notice is they would be quick to call me about like if it was something going on with my son or something that he did, but then say if it's something with another student who he's having issues with, right? That may be picking on him, and they're not telling me. I would only find out through my son, and then when I would bring it up to them, it's like, oh, yeah, like they all of a sudden remembered, or they're leaving out parts of the story, right? I'll get deeper into that because actually the incident that happened that actually forced me to go ahead and pull my son out of school, that happened, right? I'm almost done, you guys, and I'm gonna go back up to the top and I'm gonna go deeper into these topics. Parents have to worry about mass boppies. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? I don't want to get into the whole conspiracy thing. I will save that for my channel, you guys. I promise I'm gonna go back to posting on my individual channel. It's just I'm waiting for my youngest to start to sleep through the night, right? Yeah. Collective. I'm gonna get into that, okay? Because see, my thing is that the incentive for sending your kids to school, I always thought it was while the parents were working, the schools was basically supposed to be like not only where your kids, where they're being watched and they're also being educated. But I'm gonna go deeper into that, right? But yeah, parents have to worry about these mass boppies going on. And I'm sorry, I'm just not willing to risk my child's life like that. Actually, on the base that we're at right now, when he was still in school, we had like 2 or 3 incidents where they would they had like a lockdown, right? Because they saw on social media there were kids making threats about doing mass boppies around some of the nearby schools on this base. You don't have to deal with the carpool line. That's always a plus. And then also too, kids constantly getting sick. Since I began to homeschool my son, he's basically going like it's a whole school year without getting sick, right? Like that. But let me go back over to the beginning. Now, teaching our kids gender roles, or what do they call it? Do y'all know what I'm trying to say? Like gender roles, or I'm trying not to say something on YouTube to get in trouble. Sexuality, right? So that so when he was in it was either first or second grade, they sent home a paper basically for us to sign as parents to let them know whether we wanted them to attend the class, basically teaching them about sexuality. I said no, because in my as far as my morals, my values go, I think that they should be saving that for the parents to talk to them about. And then also as well too, they're confusing the kids. Yeah, again, I don't want to get into the conspiracy stuff, but I'll just keep it on the surface with this. You guys are confusing the kids. I don't know why they think that they need to talk to the kids about their sexuality and stuff, especially when they're that young. I told him no. I didn't want him to attend that class, and apparently they had him attend the class anyways. And I know they did because one thing about being a parent, when you get around other parents, we talk, and we tend to talk about the kids, right? And I was talking to another parent who child is actually was going to school, was at a different school than my son on this same base, right? And she had actually decided to put her child out too, right, for multiple reasons. But she was talking about how she told them no, they sent her son to the class anyways. I knew that they had sent my son to the class because right after they had this in particular class, one day my son out of nowhere, he just was talking in the other room, and he was like, oh, that's GAY. He just said it out of nowhere. And mind you, he's never said this before. He don't even know what it is. So I was like, what you just say? And he repeated it back, right? And I was like, do you even know what that means? He didn't even know what it mean, of course. And I was like, where did you hear that from? He was like, from school, right? And then talking about the class and stuff. So I was very upset about that because I'm like, I told you guys I did not want him to attend this class, and y'all sent him anyways, okay? So that was one thing, all right? And a lot of stuff was happening, and I was just like, okay. It was like I'm letting it slide. At the time, I think I was pregnant with Idris at the time still, and I was still working, of course, right? Still chasing my career and all of that. So that's that. They are basically they doing what they want to do with our kids up there. I'm gonna be honest. You tell them not to do one thing, they're gonna do it anyways. And my thing is, why y'all worried about teaching them about gender roles? First of all, why is a lot of our kids up there still illiterate? It looked like you need to be carving out more time to be practicing this reading and this writing. That's what y'all need to be doing. But anyways, trying to tell parents how to raise and discipline their kid. This is a problem. Y'all, these new kids is coming up in a generation where I don't honestly, and I'm starting to think a lot of these so-called parents on the internet is like, what y'all be calling them bots or whatever. They can't be real because I live in the real world and I'm around real parents. Everything is not a ruse. Okay, these parents are scared to even raise their voice at their kids a little bit, tell them to get somewhere and sit down. Literally anything less than handling your kids with kitten gloves like a damn plushie is a ruse. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why I say that. So one time I had a parent teacher conference for my son, right, when he was going to this school on base, and the teacher was telling me about how he had yelled at the teacher. Now, my son knows not to do this, but I am a realistic parent. I'm never going to get up here and act like my kids are perfect because at the end of the day, kids are going to be kids, right? So my thing is the teachers will complain about the kids, but then they will complain about how all right, like they ready to report you about how you discipline the kids, right? But anyways, I'm gonna get into that. So I was having a parent teacher conference. She was telling me that he had yelled at her. So I was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. He knows not to do that. I did take his toys away, and as she told me, yeah, he seemed to be doing a little bit better stuff. And I told her, yeah, I took his toys away. Now, mind you, during this parent teacher conference, because my son is on the IEP for speech therapy, it was his speech therapist, his main teacher, and then the special education teacher. He has a special education teacher because I had recommended to them when he was like in kindergarten. They were saying they couldn't get him to pay attention, sit down. He had been on this child for the longest, right? And he's used to when he's learning at that time it's just one-on-one, right? Me teaching him, right? So I told him, okay, can we put in his IEP smaller group classes, sessions or whatever, so he can pay attention. At first they kept fighting me on it, and basically the meeting did not end until they put that in his IEP, and they put it in there, and guess what? They came back and said, oh, this seemed to be working. I know, okay? They're professionals. That's another thing too, parents. These people are professionals. They're supposed to be there to help us, right? It's supposed to be teamwork, not them telling you everything, because at the end of the day, if you are a hands-on parent, you also too know what's best for your child, right? With assistance. But these people be thinking they know everything. But anyways, sorry, y'all, I don't mean to go off on a tangent. I'm bad at that, but I promise it encompasses with everything I'm trying to say. So anyways, as I told her, back to the meeting, you guys. I told her, I took his toys away, right? His special education teacher gonna look at me and say, oh, well, I don't think you should do that. And I was like, respectfully, ma'am, I do not need you to tell me how to raise my kids. You are telling me he is up here yelling at the teachers, which he knows he is not supposed to do. He's not going to come home and get to do whatever it is that he wants to do, right? So as I'm telling her this, his speech therapist, who was sitting to the left of me, I just happened to peer over because as I'm talking to her, I'm looking around the table, just talking to everybody, if anybody else got something to say. And the speech therapist was basically nodding her head in agreement because I was telling the special education teacher, if you don't, discipline them now and let them know that what they're doing is wrong and how to respect, their elders in authority, it's gonna get worse as they get older. So as I'm saying this, the special education teacher, she writing something down. I see her write something down in her notebook, right? Now, I don't know what it is that she wrote down, nor did I care, to be honest. But my thing is, y'all complain to the parents, and then when the parents try to do something to rectify the situation or go about, disciplining their kids, y'all don't agree with it. And then you wonder why the kids are up here being bad. I took his toys away. I didn't say he went home and got a whooping. You can't take toys away? He's supposed to be up here. Do you want me to help you or not? Y'all don't want no help from these parents for real. That's what be getting me about a lot of these teachers that like to hop on social media and then act like, oh, we just so done with the kids. The kids are so bad. The parents, it must be the parents. The parents don't discipline their kids. They don't teach their kids how to act. No, the parents try to discipline their kids. And you guys, because y'all, we live in a society where they think everything is a ruse, and y'all want to have y'all butt in and put in y'all y'all input or whatever. Oh, I don't think you should do this. I don't think you should do that. First of all, I'm raising them, and you can't even get them to listen to you up here. So what are you talking about? You telling me for a reason, right? Don't you want me to do something about it? Don't you want me to fix it? So then when the parents stop disciplining them because y'all want to try to act like y'all gonna report everything, then they want to look crazy. When the kids, when the parents just step back and just say, okay, well, you know what I'm saying, and then the kids just doing whatever it is that they want to do. Cause let's be real, ain't no parents out here trying to have the CPS or the dang kid police arrive at their door. Hey Jaden, how you doing today? Especially, you know what I'm saying? No parents that, at least not no parents that really care and love their kids. I know I'm not. So it's like, and the crazy thing is, y'all, they will tell y'all how to discipline y'all kids. But then you go up there and you find out they got your kids sitting in the corner, yelling in your kid's face. It was a couple times my son was telling me that this special education teacher, right, that told me, no, I don't think you should do that. She had yelled in his face, something. I had to talk to her about it, right? So that's the crazy thing. You got to be careful with that. Y'all, we send our kids to these schools and then they be trying to tell us how to discipline our kids or act like we doing so bad. And then you find out they up there doing that and more, but to your kids. These low key, they trying to replace the parents, if you ask me. I'm doing good. I'm trying to get into this topic about why I pulled my son out of school, Jaden. You know, I've been wanting to talk about this, but I kept putting it off, like I said at the beginning of the video, because honestly, it kind of, every time I think about it, it upsets me, right? Because as a lot of people may know, it's actually more work to homeschool your child. But I will be honest, I love it. I get to be able to spend more time with my kids and actually watch my kids grow, you know, and raise them, you know, how I want to raise them. Because essentially when we put our kids in these public school systems or in school and daycares and stuff, the system is raising our kids. Just think about it. If our kids is in school 8 hours a day, you working 8 hours a day, the kids in school 8 hours a day, and then most kids are leaving school and going to daycare because they have to wait until their parents get off of work to, you know, come and get them, right? By the time you get home, you only have enough time to cook for the kids, you know, ask them about their day a little bit, they eat dinner, and then they gotta go take a shower and get ready for bed. So you like doing shared custody with these systems, with your kids when it comes to it. You just got the weekends. And then we wondering why we raising our kids, and you look up and they coming out a lot of times differently than, you know, how we raise them, or picking up certain traits and stuff like that, because also as well too, our kids, the peers have more of an impression on our kids than we do as parents. Let's just be honest. When I'm raising my kids, one thing I try to do is remember what it's like to be a kid. Okay? You are natural beauty, great mom. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Vashawn. I think I said that right. Live from CT. Remember, they closed half the schools on the south side. See, and that's crazy. And you know what's another thing too? Didn't they say that they keep on taking out funding in these public school systems? But you know, I'm gonna get to that. I don't want to get off track, you guys. Hold on. My child was falling behind. That's the next topic I want to get on. My child, like I told you guys, he's on IEP for speech therapy, right? Now, although my child, a lot of people think that because the child is speech delayed, that they can't learn or they don't know or whatever, right? They can. And like I said, if you are an involved parent and you're very hands-on with your child, you know what you know what your child is capable of. And the reason why I say that is because as his mom, right, I was pretty much the only one that could really understand, I would say about 95 to 98% of what he was saying, right? So although he was speech delayed, I was still teaching, you know, reading, writing, math, because I can understand what you're saying. So when he was still in school and I was still working, even though my child did not have homework, I was creating homework for my child when he would come home from school, because I wanted to make sure that he is learning the things that he needs to learn. He knows the things that he needs to know, right? And my son is also one of those people, like, you really have to pull it out of him. He does not like learning about nothing unless it's about some dinosaurs, okay? So when the kids are kind of falling behind too, I will say that it's not always all on the teachers. Because sometimes too, they have to know how to get these kids to engage and to really want to pay attention. And that can be challenging. So yeah, like I said, for me, when my kid would come home, we were still working on stuff and still doing stuff, because I want to make sure that you actually learn the things that you need to learn, right? But he was falling behind, and I would have meetings, parent teacher conferences, his IEP meetings, and they would say, "Oh, he doesn't know this, he doesn't know that," and I'm like, "Yes, he does, because he does it at home." Now, this is no fault at the teachers, because I know they only have to go based off of what he's showing them, right? But one thing I did notice, and I realized as well too, especially talking to other parents who have kids in school who are falling behind, who are on IEP for something, or they're not on IEP for something. Um, I would say this, especially if your child is on an IEP for something, they're not expecting much out of your kids. Okay, they're not really trying to engage with them in that way. They're not really challenging them. So, for instance, where I was talking to my mom, and she was talking about how she was doing homework with their child, and the child had told her, "Oh, the teacher said that we don't have to do this part." Mind you, all the kids have to do this part, though, right? And she was like, "Why? Yeah, this is something that you need to know. You need to learn, whatever, right?" And she was like, "Oh, because the teacher said that I don't need to." Um, I'm using that as an example to say, yeah, if your child is on an IEP for something, they're not expecting much out of them. It's pretty much like, they're not really challenging them. They ain't expecting them to do much. I don't know what other way to really say that. You guys really get that across. So that was the case with him. They were really like babying him up there, and I was telling them, like, don't be afraid to push him. Like, do not let him don't let him keep telling, "Oh, I can't do it, I can't do it," because I was telling them, with my oldest, he is only gonna do as much as you trying to get him to do, and he ain't even gonna want to do that when it comes to schoolwork, right? So they would baby him a lot, and I would tell him, like, basically trying to help them, because I know my child, like, how to go about this, right? To help him. They didn't listen. But so he was severely falling behind when it came to his reading and his writing and stuff, and it was just like, honestly, for me, I'm not finna put you in school for 8 hours a day and you still come home to me and you don't know nothing. I thought when you putting them in school, right? As they come home, as parents, we supposed to be able to build onto that, keep on practicing with them for what they already learned in school to assist them. But it was like I was doing pretty much 100% of the teaching. Like, it's like you're up there, like, you're not learning anything, right? So that was another reason why I was like, I might as well pull you out of school. You just sitting up here all day and you're not even learning anything, and that's not gonna work, because I'm not raising no kids that's illiterate or just walking around like they're not gonna know the things that they need to know. Because again, as parents, we are responsible for having foresight. We know how the world works. You're gonna grow up and be an adult one day and be out of my care, and you need to be able to know how to take care of yourself and know, at the very least, of some reading and some writing and some math, okay? Because you will not be out here getting played and people thinking that you a fool and you don't know the things that you need to know. So that was another reason why I pulled my son out. Like I said, he was up. It's like you up there all day, 8 hours a day, and then you don't know nothing. Now I will say this: I'm seeing a heavy influx of teachers hopping on social media talking about how, oh, the kids can't read, the kids can't write, the kids. Oh, it must be the parents, it must be the parents, it must be the parents. As a parent that works with my child, you guys, teachers, come on, stop the cap. Come on, y'all been spending years complaining about the pay. If y'all think that in every other profession that there's people who literally only doing the job, I guess, for the pay, or you know what I'm saying, or to get by, whatever, don't really care, they heart not really in it, and it don't just stop at certain professions. It's people like that in all professions, teachers included. There are some very amazing teachers out there, but there are also a lot of lazy teachers out there, okay? They be doing the bare minimum with these kids, if that. So my thing is, it's like, if my kid is up there 8 hours a day, and then, you know what I'm saying, we coming home, working, he come home, and then we working with him, and it's still like, he's still not learning anything, still not really progressing, what is going on? Like I said, and it's not just for my kid. There's a lot of kids, especially, again, like, you be thinking it's just you, but when you talk to other parents, this is a thing. This is a thing. A lot of these kids are not able, they're not able to do reading or writing. And then they say, oh, the parents not working with them. Well, I'm a parent that work with my child, so what's your excuse? And then I'm going to be honest, I'm not advocating to say that parents should not work with their child. You guys, I'm not saying that, because honestly, you should. Especially if you got your kids up here in these public school system where these classrooms a lot of times are filled to max capacity. They're not able to really give a lot of these kids individualized learning like that, right? So it's basically like, If you can't keep up, you just gonna fall behind. And really, they just believe in passing the kids on to the next grade. That started back when I was younger with that whole "no child left behind" thing, right? Um, but even if you have parents, let's say they're not working with their kids, right? Just stick with me now. The kids are at school 8 hours a day. You have parents who are working 8 hours a day, maybe even longer. They get off of work. They pick the kids up from school, or they pick them up from daycare. A lot of parents, most of the time, they're picking their kids up from daycare, right? Because a lot of parents are not off when the kids are off, when they're out of school. They pick kids up from daycare. They come home. They have to cook. They feed the kids. Then you got to get the kids ready for bed and stuff. A lot of these parents be too tired to still sit up there and want to do more schoolwork with the kids, that they gotta at this point try to force it out of them, because the kids been up there doing schoolwork 8 hours a day, and they come home. These kids don't want to come home and do more schoolwork. So now the parents at home frustrated because they are trying to get their kids to engage, you know what I'm saying, with the work and teach them, and they don't want to, because the kids are like, bro, I've been at school all day. Can I get a break? Can I go play? Can I go do? I know that's how my son was. Like I said, me personally, I was just like, baby, no. I mean, you gonna get a break after we do, you know what I'm saying, practice this reading and this writing and this math, okay? And a lot of people feel like, oh, that's you being hard on your kids. No, it's me trying to make sure that my child is not falling behind and he knows the things that he needs to know. I literally cried to my husband one day about this, about basically, I was saying to him, I hope that my oldest does not think that I am being too hard on him, right? And because, like I said, my son, you have to really like try to grab it out of him, right? And he's just, he don't be really messing with it. He don't be really want to do it, especially when he was still in school and he was at school all day, and then you come home, like, my mom want me to do more work, right? So my thing is, I'm not telling parents to not work with their kids, but what I'm saying is, even if you have parents who are too tired, or they're not per se working with their kids when they get out of school and doing more schoolwork with them, right? My thing is, what's going on? The kids at school 8 hours a day. You tell them you can't take the kid and teach them how to read, and they with you 5 days out of the week, 8 hours a day? I'm sorry. Like, y'all can say what y'all want to say. That just don't make sense to me. Because like I said, the incentive for sending your kids to school for working parents was that they was going to not only be up there, you knew where they were at, so they were being watched, and they were also getting an education. If they coming home and the parents coming home and the kids come home and the parents are still having to deal with kids who cannot read when they done been up there with you 5 days out of the week for 8 hours a day, what's the point of sending them to school? I'll wait. Like, for real, what's the point of sending them to school? And then, to be honest, we be so scared to homeschool our kids, thinking, oh, they're going to fall behind, or what if I'm not capable? What if I'm not capable? I'm going to be honest. I was nervous at first, but once I started homeschooling my son, y'all, these people ain't teaching. This ain't college level coursework that they giving these kids. They not teaching these kids nothing that you can't teach them. And honestly, if you get stuck and you think that you confuse something, we live in an age of, we have so many resources available to us. We have more resources available to us than our parents had and than our grandparents had. Shoot, even than some of us had when we were younger. Like, you better hop on TikTok or social media or something and then have them show you, and then you show the child. Let's be honest. A lot of these teachers don't even know how to, it's not even about just only engaging with the kids, but really teach these kids the stuff that they need to know. So, for instance, when my child was still in school and he's struggling with his reading and writing, right? I'm not a perfect parent. I'm not going to get up here and never act like I'm a perfect parent, because I know it's a lot of people on social media who like to hop on here and act like they're perfect parents. They're not. Nobody's a perfect parent. If you find one and you find a book on it, please let me know. But what I'm saying is, right, when my child is struggling in the area, or he's falling behind, right, the first thing I do is I look at, okay, what am I doing wrong? What are we not doing enough of? I'm doing enough of, right? So for instance, when he's struggling with his reading and writing, I'm like, okay, I know we're working on this. Is it the way I'm trying to teach you, right? Because you do know it's a lot of different ways to teach a child something. That's why they literally, all these expensive tutor programs on, and all these different tests they run to be able to sit your child down to see what their learning style is, to be able to teach them, right? That's one of the things that I do. We didn't spend hundreds of dollars on tutors and stuff, to basically go hand in hand with us working with him at home as well too, right? all type of stuff, right? But what I'm saying is, when I would ask for different advice at the, for advice at school, right? Like, okay, different tips, like, okay, I'm teaching him this way. Is, obviously this way, okay. Is it a certain way that you guys are recommend that I teach it, or a certain way that you guys are teaching it to him, or that how it should be done, or whatever, right? And nothing. They would give me nothing. They would give me no advice. Now, if they told y'all something, y'all let me know. Even if it was certain things that they would be working on in class, and they would be like, oh, they're having trouble with this. Okay, I'm teaching. I would let them know. Okay, at home, this is when he was still in public school, right? So when he would get out of school, what we would be working on, I would basically be working on my child, working with my child on reading and writing and math, right? So if it's something in particular that they are working on in school, I would ask them, okay, can you give me that as well too, so I can bring it home and work on that with him as well too. Do you think they gave it to me? No, no, no. And like I said, you be thinking it's just you until you talk to other parents. This is a thing. So it's like, and it's almost like, too, to be honest, another thing too that I noticed with these schools, they act like they want involved parents. They don't. Honestly, from my experience, it's like when you're an involved parent, it's almost like you get on their nerves. It's not like I'm calling your phone every day, or I'm popping up at the school every day, and they're like, I'm talking about an involved parent as far as like you on top of your child's education, right? You trying to do any and everything it is to help them, to get them the resources, to get the advice, all of that, right? Because like I said, because we're supposed to be working as a team when it comes to putting our kids in these, systems and stuff, right? Um, but it's almost like they get annoyed, to be honest. They do. They don't give you any real answers. No real resources that you can use. Half the time, from my experience, they don't even really answer. But that's it on that topic. One thing what I did realize was, within the year that I took him out in the middle of second grade. So I took him out like a little bit after they got back from Christmas break. I have noticed a lot of progress in where he was at then and where he's at now, since I have decided to homeschool my child. So if you are a parent and your child is falling behind in school, and for whatever reason you have been thinking about, you're scared to take them out and homeschool them, if you are able to, take them out and do it, because you keeping them in there and thinking that it's just gonna get better. 9 times out of 10, a lot of times, in a lot of cases, it's not. They're just gonna continue to be behind, and it's just gonna get worse. Literally. I think I said this I don't know if I said this the previous live, but on one of my lives, you guys may have saw us at the library, and I actually saw one of the moms up there who, daughter goes to the same school that my son was going to when he was still in public school. And she was telling me about how her daughter is struggling with her reading. And she was saying that she's always asking the teachers, for advice. What can she do? Is there anything specific, or how she should be teaching it, or whatever? Basically advice, right? They're the professionals. And she said that they give her nothing. They just say, oh, she's going to get it. Oh, she's going to get it. Oh, it's fine. She's going to. And she was just, venting to me about how basically she's not getting it. She's in school all day and she's still coming home like she's not really progressing, right? So yeah, I say all of that to say, if you have a child that's in school and they're falling behind, take them out. Take them out and homeschool them. Find a way to where and I know this is easier said than done. I am lucky, I'm married. My husband's in the military. He's, you know what I'm saying? He's going to make sure his family's taken care of. So I can afford to be a stay-at-home mom and really put my career to the side to be able to raise my kids, and actually be there and involved with them like that, right? And just decide to go ahead and take them out and homeschool them. So if you've been thinking about it, find a way, especially if it's been on your heart, find a way to, like I said, make money to where you can do it from home and be able to homeschool your kids. Because it is going to, you're gonna love it. It's going to help them, especially if you are an involved parent. You're actually serious about their education. Okay, you can't just take them out and then